Yeah, I mean, this is you touched on something which kind of got me thinking about the mindset. So the I guess the subject of this particular conversation is about picking the right influencer. Who is the right influencer for you? And what I've heard you say is someone who's going to actually use your product. So someone who has the passion for using your product. So, for example, my favorite example is uh, a, a woman entrepreneur who created a baby product, who has another woman influencer using that baby product, who happens to be a mother herself. So that obviously is the chemistry for the product, so to speak. And so, and the other thing that got me thinking is these influencers that have millions of followers. So if you think about it, their followers are their capital, right?
Hmm.
So they want to get the highest return on their capital as many times as possible because the same capital that is going to keep giving. So there really is not much of an incentive for them to spend so much time with your product because there's plenty of others, lining up because of their follower base. And so therefore they're going to give you a shot and then move on to the next guy and the next guy. So in that sense, it's kind of a shame because they built that following. Now they're cashing in on it, but without really doing much, giving it the due attention, so to speak. So therefore, as you were talking, I thought, wait a minute, this is like their capital. So, you are better off you working with someone who has a smaller audience, but who's going to put the blood and sweat, so to speak, in advocating for your product, right? So that's what you are talking about.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, I think that's part of the whole issue is really that when we, and it gets a bad, the whole term, even influencer marketing, sometimes just sounds like, the kind of icky, but it really is. We're all influencers, right? This podcast influences people to make decisions about ways they're going to use Amazon in their business or how they're going to grow their business. I mean, so whether you even realize it, which I'm sure you do, Nick, you're an influencer in your own way. We're all influencers. We influence our children, we influence our friends by the actions we take. And so if we're complaining about a product and we tell somebody, about how bad it was, they're likely not going to use it. It's the same thing when we refer a business to someone. If they, have good experience, they're going to trust you. If they have a bad experience, they're going to come back to you and say, hey, that person you told me to do this job was really didn't do a good job for me. And then you're in the future going to say, wow, I really got to be careful about who I vet. And so it's no different in an influencer marketing. If you're going to work with an influencer as a seller, you got to do your homework and make sure that these people are going to be a good fit for you. And so that even goes into, potentially like what kind of things are they saying on social media, right? Are they getting political? Are they going to do something that may fall back on you, right? We've heard of these companies that have had some issues because they had some influencer that did something, and then they're like, oh, we got to cut ties with this person because one of the first things you say, like, oh, well, they're working with company X, Y, and Z. So I think that too can be the danger of having these large influencers, not to mention, like you said, because they're looking to cash in for some of these smaller sellers, they may not be in your budget, and so you really got to look at that trade off. So I like your idea of right, start out with the smaller, that what we call the nano micro influencers that still have a few thousand followers, but they are looking to grow as opposed to like thinking, oh, I've got to get this top person if I'm going to have any success.
Yeah. So I like numbers. So when you say nano and micro, what should a seller be looking for in terms of number of followers for the influencer to work with?
Yeah, so I know, and as an example, to become an Amazon influencer, you have to have, and they don't tell us the exact numbers, but I'll just throw out the number 2,000 followers on one of now 4 platforms that they've changed it. They used to be Twitter, now known as X, but they're looking at your Instagram, your Facebook business, TikTok, or YouTube. And obviously, depending on the platform, some are much harder to get than others. But you want to look for, are they creating content? Are they getting engagement? When you start to get to people that are at about 10,000 followers, on some of these platforms, obviously you're going to get a lot of, bang for your buck. And so like when we got into the Amazon space, I had, about 10,000 followers on Twitter. So that was kind of like where I was, I guess you could say, garnered my influence. But, they're not looking at LinkedIn, but, if you're a business that has a product that wants to do products with businesses, maybe you want to see like, hey, is this person active on LinkedIn? Because maybe they're going to help connect you with some of those businesses that could help your product as well. And so you don't want to just focus on one thing. Where does your audience hang out?